Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the Screenwriting Step-by-Step Project, episode 197. My name is Glenn Gers, and I come to you every Monday through Friday, if I can make it, at Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m., to let you look over my shoulder, share my screen as I write a script. And I do this in order to teach a part of screenwriting that I feel is kind of under-taught, which is the actual day-to-day, line-by-line process. It's all about getting a process, getting comfortable with the steps it takes to write a script. Any kind of script, dramedy, comedy, drama, comedy, TV, movies, whatever, they all break down to script form, and getting used to writing in script form, getting used to thinking in scenes, thinking in characters and dialogue and action, dramatic action, is really, really the key. Everybody's going to do it their own way. Everybody's going to do their own type of projects, and every project is going to have its own challenges. So the only thing that a writer really has that they bring every time is the process. So that's what I'm trying to show you. Let you watch me walk through it. This is not the only way to do it. It is not the best way to do it. It is simply the way I figured out for myself in a 25-year career writing for movies and TV. And I think some of these things are helpful tools and tips. And if they are, use them. And if they're not, don't. It's not like this is the only way people write. Everybody writes their own way. I'm just trying to save you some reinventing the wheel. If there's things I can show you that will help you to says that you don't have to spend the 10, 20 years I did figuring out this stuff, figuring out how to organize and outline and how to build a scene, that might be good for you. If you don't want to watch all of these, don't. In fact, I urge you not to. 197 hours is too much. Do your own work. Don't spend your time watching me. But when you are not watching these, you might want to watch the things that I think I'm really proud of, the things that I really feel are the main education I can give you are in the first 3 sections of my channel. The first 3 playlists: Screenwriting Essentials, Screenwriting Tools, Craft and Skills, and The Process, Being a Writer. These are just 10-minute lessons. Each one, the thumbnail has a great big word telling you what it's about. Genre, flashbacks, dramatic action, instinct, all those kind of things. If you're interested in getting some basic tips, some useful ideas, that's what this channel is all about. All right. Hello, Kitschy. Hello, excuse my back. It is great to see you all here. What I am doing right now is trying to figure out, I've actually got the script in pretty good shape, but I realized that there was one element of it, one subplot, that wasn't great. And so now what I'm doing is just going through those scenes, just those, and figuring out what their story is. It's kind of a useful thing for you to consider. When you are writing something, I did a whole video on this, building character arcs. Each different character, they're living through the story full time. They don't stop and say, oh, we're on somebody else now, I'll just sit here. They're living their lives. They are following their path. So when you write them, it's a good idea to have a sense of what their path is. It's usually not the same as the path of the movie. Okay? So what you want to do is think about what each character, like each one is in their own story. So you want to know what is their story and how does that story relate to your main story? Because it really should. There should be some reason you are spending time with these characters, even if they're secondary characters or less. There's some reason they're in the story. And while they have to play that part, while they have to be the advisor or the obstacle or the team, they also have to be their own people. And that's when you get that right, when you get them to both serve a purpose in the main story and be their own people who are operating for their own reasons, that's when you get the good writing. So let's talk about that. Hello, Mookie MC. Hello, Eddie Abdu. All of the scripts, all the steps and scripts up to now are available on my website. Let me give you a quick show of how to find them. If you go to my website, this is sort of a drawing of the 3 steps of the home screen of my website. You go to writingforscreens.com, you'll get that big purple screen. You scroll down, you'll get the yellow screen. You scroll down further, and you'll get a grid of 9 buttons. Those 9 buttons, the one in the, the one in the corner, it's called Creative. If you click on that rectangle, you will go to a page called Creative, and on that, there is a little panel that says Latest Drafts and Outlines for the UPKP. That has all the drafts and outlines up to now. So yeah, that's where you can find that. Okay. In the meantime, let's get this going. All right. So what I was doing was thinking about the, mainly this character named Ted is somebody who I knew I wanted to have in there, but I hadn't really thought him out. So here's the thing. I have now figured out what I got to is this question. What I want to have happen is, as the pilot goes on, it takes place over essentially 2 days. And in the second day, these different people start showing up at the house where the murder victim George died, which is now where Norman and Madeline are, trying to figure out what to do. This is where the evidence, in theory, is hidden. So the question is, where is Ted coming from that he gets there, and how is he getting there? Is he, just when you're writing, you try to make things artificially interesting. You say, okay, if this guy's coming in a car, how about if this guy's coming in a motorcycle, or this guy's coming in an RV? And actually, because Ted is a conspiracy crazy theorist, I kind of like the idea of him coming in an RV, but that means he has to be relatively close because he has to drive there. Yeah, at the moment, I'm not sure. I don't get it every week. Sometimes I just forget to post it, or it may not have changed much. Hi, Gene. Okay, so the question is, let's just do a quick. This is when I use this notes document just sort of as a sketch pad, as a place to. I honestly don't look back at it. I'm just using it as a place to write down my thoughts as I think them. I really urge you to get in the habit of actually thinking in writing. I'm going to go and think about this, and then when I get the answer, I'm going to write it down. Start to think it out. So in this case, I'm trying to think, how does everyone get there? Like, what is their various modes of conveyance? Obviously, I'm going to rule out things like horse and kite. So we have Norman, Zena, Dundosky, McLean, Ted. They, I believe, are all the people who get there. Okay, so Madeline arrives by taxi. Norman arrives by car. Zena. Now, this is an interesting. I hadn't actually thought about how she gets there, because you know what? We don't see it, so it doesn't matter. We don't see it. Dundosky is in a van or truck. I think he's in a van, which leaves McLean and Ted. McLean, I have him taking a train and then snazzy rental car. McLean is well off. Helicopter is just a touch big. Yeah, van life is popular, and I do think that Ted. Here's the thing. If Ted's on the East Coast, he could have, in theory, been driving there. He could have started driving like 2 days before. I'm going to say RV. So let's get this now. What happens is when I use this notes document, I then, hi, Ellen, nice to see you. I'm just doing logistics. I'm just doing very mechanical logistics things. Okay, so Mad arrives in a taxi, right? Norman drives in his car. We don't see how Xena arrives, but she's coming from the airport. She may have a fancy rental too, or even an Uber. But you're not going to call an Uber in this town, so therefore I don't think you want to be dropped off by an Uber. So, but Dundosky is in a big pickup truck or van. So these are the two that we really have to identify right now. Okay, so so Ted arrives. Ted is in a lunatic's RV, covered in stickers and a mess. Okay. That is... Okay. Which means early on when we meet him, when we first meet him, Ted is in an RV or RV adjacent place. Okay, that's good. 2 days driving from George's. He says he is on his way now. Xena is not thrilled. Okay, good. Hello, Rachel. So then... So now here's the thing. I'm beginning to think that McLean, while in finance, I think, okay. McLean, oh, sorry, I typed into another sentence. McLean is in finance, but not in NYC. Could be anywhere with corporate office. Okay. Cool. Because I just don't want to have too many people. Madeline is already in New York. Norman's in Akron, which is nearby. All right. Okay. Well, the thing is, okay, now here's the question. I'm saying, should Dundosky be trying to stop him? But the problem is, if Dundosky was trying to stop him, Dundosky would be able to, because Dundosky is intimidating. So, hi, I write. No, this is not really about plot holes. It's about things being insufficiently interesting, insufficiently meaningful. In other words, I had an opportunity here to, what I recognize is I was trying to establish this online detective group who are going to be the main group of characters. And I wanted to establish them as an online group, so all their scenes were being seen through Zoom. And I realized that while that's theoretically right, the truth is this incident that starts this story, George's murder, is big enough to make some of them drop everything and go to George's house, the crime scene, so that they actually are physically there. And that is what I'm doing. It is not a plot hole. It is not. It is much more of a just trying to make something stronger. It's okay, but it's stronger. It was okay, but I'm trying to make it stronger. So, all right. I think instead of Dundosky trying to stop him, it is going to be that McLean arrives, finds Ted there. Ted hanging around outside. Possibly they are down the street a bit so as not to be seen. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, this is actually interesting. This is an interesting question. What am I doing at this point? And what I'm doing is when you rewrite, you have to sort of ask yourself: is each element of this as good as I can make it? That's really, it's like, am I using everything I've got as well as I can? Am I making it most as meaningful to the main story? Am I making it as emotional and unique? Am I making it as based in character? Basically, you sort of go through a list of what people could criticize and try to make sure that it's not criticizable, that you've made it not vulnerable to somebody going, oh, that's kind of boring, or that character is kind of neglected, or whatever it is. So what I'm doing, and what I think everybody, writing is a process of going through it again and again and again. Rewriting is part of writing. And when you do that, you look at it and you say, well, which parts work and which parts don't feel like they work as well? And the ones that don't, you want to bring up to the level of the ones that do. Okay. Did you know this need from the beginning? It was no, I did not. I was always aware. Whenever I got to these scenes, I was aware that they weren't striking me as great. I was aware that having a whole bunch of scenes, I had like 3 or 4 scenes on Zoom or involving Zoom, and it was striking me that wasn't great, especially the last one. The thing I was thinking was, the last scene is when all these threads come together, and the pilot is establishing a bunch of different characters and issues, and in the last scene, they all come together. But I had a bunch of them coming together on Zoom, and that was really bothering me. So that is a case of, I didn't know what I wanted to do about that, but I knew it wasn't working. It wasn't feeling great. I was going to kind of live with it because I couldn't think of a solution. And then when I was rereading it, I thought of the solution. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so here's the thing. I've got this question. Do I want to show Shrimpton coming back? And you know what? I think not. So I'm just going to take her out now. Which means I have to make a note. Okay. I think what I'm going to do with Shrimpton is keep her out of it for a while so that she can come back in a later episode. Which means give the money question to someone else. Probably Ted. Okay. Yes, this is absolutely right. A pilot is always tricky. One of the things you have to do is recognize that there's a lot you're not going to do. Hi, Donna. Welcome. Okay. So one of the things I just realized when I was writing this is currently this scene shows Xena looking for evidence, and then she freaks, and they get home. I also have Dundosky arriving, and the thing is, if they are there outside the house when Mad and Norman get home, then they can't be visible. So I think what I'm going to do is put this here. In other words, they begin to argue. Dundosky is trying to get the others to leave. I think it's something like that. In other words, they are having an argument when Xena walks out. Strategizing. Okay, so ends when Xena comes out of the house upset and they join her. Okay, that makes sense. And that means it's not possibly down the street. It is down the street. Because if it wasn't down the street, they would be seen. Is thinking about future Emily, is thinking about future chapters of a book. This is actually not the same. And it's tricky because future chapters of a book will be something you will get to write. In other words, if you're writing a book and you're planning different chapters, you're doing the outline. You're thinking about the whole story. If you are doing a series and you are writing the pilot, you will likely never get to write the other episodes. So you are thinking about them, but you're not necessarily ever going to get to write them. So you want to sort of make a mental note of the plan. Like, oh, Shrimpton's going to be used later. But you do not actually include them in the plan. They're a separate plan. They're a one day I could get to do this. That they are, and this is the worst thing. This is the biggest problem with writing a pilot, is you need to understand what you are planning to do with each character. At least I do. It was a TV tradition to not plan too far ahead because they were like, why should I work on something that I may not get paid for? If the network doesn't pick this up, I don't want to put a lot of work in on it. But I don't understand how you write a character if you don't know what their overall story is going to be. I guess that you could begin to learn the skill of understanding their use in the episode, but not in the larger story. For me, I like to know the larger story. So this is a big problem, is that I need to say to myself, for each character, this is where I plan to send them, to bring them, what I think their big arc is going to be, but not really attend to it at all. You're just establishing basics. Dundosky I'm establishing as this guy with this need for justice, who's also volatile. What am I going to do with him? I honestly haven't figured that out yet. Likewise, Ted, what am I going to do with him? I have not entirely figured it out yet. Yeah. Everybody's got their own method. A lot of it depends simply on what you physically can comfortably use and control. I always work in word processing or some form of software because I never have, up until fairly recently, I never had enough room to deal with index cards. I had no place to put them out. I lived in New York City and my entire apartment was 2 9x12 rooms. So I just didn't have a place to put index cards, because if you want to lay them out, you'd have to have a wall. I didn't have a wall space. My bookshelves on the wall. So therefore, I always wanted to do something that was something I could carry, and I also like to conceive of it in a narrative form. So I work in a document that has a linear shape. But different people work differently. Also, some people say, like, I can't believe you deal with all these different fonts and colors because it's very distracting. To me, it's organizing. Like, I can say, this color indicates this state of being. So yeah, everybody's different. The only thing that I would say is, if you have some system which you are using for whatever reason and it's not working, try something else. If it's working, you win. Do it. Nobody to tell you right or wrong if it is working, and if you can afford it, and if it does not cause health problems or any kind of problems like that to you or anyone else involved. It's worse. It's like sending a child off to a portal into the future and not knowing if you'll ever see them again. That's, unfortunately, sending them off to college would be great. You don't get to send these off to college. You just get to wonder if you will ever understand the rest of their lives. Yes, indeed, different strokes for different folks. That is the story of art. Okay. By the way, this is one of those things that it's so natural in writing to sort of say they begin to argue. They argue. It's an action. They argue. Exactly how they argue, when they argue, it doesn't matter. But to say they begin to argue, that's suggesting a certain part of the scene. I don't know. if what will happen. So try to remember to make your outline actions, not descriptions. They begin to argue is actually a description of a part of the scene. The action is they argue. He arrives. He finds Ted. It's okay. By working, you mean like when I say it works? No, I mean, does it work? The definition of working for me in art is, can you actually create the thing you're trying to create? That's working. What works is you did it. Whether or not it has a particular result, that is completely outside of your control. Okay. Well, this is interesting. Okay. Okay, good. All right, that's all nonsense. So the question is, have I solved all of these issues? Mostly. The thing I have not solved is this one. McLean calls in. What I need to do here is I'm basically jamming two scenes together, and this worries me. When you try to put two scenes into one, it usually feels like one bad scene instead of two good scenes, because a scene generally has a single action, and when you put two actions in one scene, the audience feels bad. They feel like, I don't understand what's going on. This person was doing this thing, and now they're doing this other thing. So find a way to make it a separate scene. And remember, a separate scene can take place in the same location in continuous time, but there's a sense of change, of like, oh, I finished doing this thing and I start doing this thing. So the question is, this first part, I think, is not a full scene. Not a scene, just an intro bit while he is catching the guy's eye. Okay, that is the solution to this problem, is to remember. Okay. Okay. Train station. Okay. So that's interesting. Okay. So then the question is, what does he say in this call? Because that is going to, and you see, like this stuff that I'm doing here, like I just asked that question. Very often, it's better to put that in your notes to do your, okay. So, clean in train station. What is he saying to work as scene begins? Okay, now I will check this. Hi, Diego. You mentioned in an interview about the basic documents writing. outline, notes, main to script. Has that was 2 years ago. Has anything changed? No, that is not my process remains my process, and I did it also in this this video called "How to Organize a Project." It's a live class where I tried to it's like this, it's a live stream, but I was trying to, because I want to share my screen so I could show you these documents just like I'm doing here. And so I was showing you this stuff. The thing that's changed is, because this is a TV pilot, there's a couple of extra layers of documents. There is what I'm calling the pitch document, or there's this extra thing you have to write. You don't have to, but I think it's advisable to write, sort of turn your overview into a document that you can give people to say, you like the pilot, this is a 3 to 5 page summary of what the rest of the series would be. By the way, any agent or manager will tell you, or producer, you do not want to give them this document with the pilot. This is something you, quote, leave behind. It's called a leave behind, actually. It's a document you leave after you have had a meeting. You do not give it to people instead of a meeting, because the big goal in life is to have a meeting. Anyway, so I also made a series outline, because the outline was just the outline of the pilot. And there were things I wanted to say to figure out about what the series would be. So the series outline is not a full outline. It was just a place to put things that I was thinking of would go in this. So this is honestly sort of a temporary document that eventually will get folded into the overview and the pitch document. Anyway, the answer is essentially the basic documents that I talked about in How to Organize a Project. I always use those. That's just my most comfortable way of working, and so I tried to share it. Do I do it always like this? No, honestly, when I'm working on my own stuff, I often work in a software called Scrivener. I don't talk about it here that much because I don't want to make you guys feel like it's somehow relevant. It's not. It's just a software I happen to like. But it took me a long time to learn it. It's not easy. It's not free. I'm trying to show you the easiest, simplest, freest version of all of these things. Okay. So what is he saying to work as the scene begins? Because here's the thing. The choice of what a character says or does in a scene reveals something about that character. The action is simply, he is making an excuse to leave work and go pursue detecting. So that's the action of the scene. The question is, and this sort of tells you a bit about him, is he being honest, saying, I like detecting and I have some detecting and I have vacation time coming. Of course, you're not supposed to just wake up one morning and say, I'm on vacation. Most jobs you can't do that. Also, is he being honest? Would he be honest about that? Indeed. Series outline is wishful thinking. Yes, absolutely. When I say what they do or do not do, when I say what they do, that includes what they don't do. The action of not saying something is an action. The action of choosing to lie is an action. So the question is he lying, and what is the lie? Now here's the thing. We know that Xena, in her conversation with her parents, was honest. At least she was saying, a friend of mine died. Is McLean saying that, or is he saying, or something about this? I just feel like McLean would actually just say, no, I'm going to solve a mystery. Um, does he say? Because sometimes it's nice to have somebody say, like, hey, I'm going to rural Pennsylvania, because it's exposition, it's information. Information, when properly motivated, is a good thing. The question is he properly motivated to say this? Hang on a second. Hold on. I noticed my phone was getting low on, so I was just plugging in the charger. Okay. Or is he just out and out? See, I don't feel like we have. Well, he could just be calling in sick, which is funny because then train station sounds. That's kind of fun. Yeah. Let's just do that, because then he has to. Okay, so he is busted by train station sounds. Okay. That's not bad. I'm beginning to get a sense of this scene. Swivels. He pivots to analysis and scares the guy off. This is a scene I've already written. I'm just going to have to rewrite it because originally it was in a gym, but the basic idea of the scene was good. Yeah, exactly. The sound is busting him. Unless he's sick on the train, yes. But I didn't mean that kind of sick. I meant he's calling in sick. He doesn't want to say, I'm calling in sick because I'm motion sick. I'm calling in sick because I have the flu or something. Anyway. All right, that's not bad. Okay. So is there anything else here? Okay. You know, I'm not going to worry too much about McLean being in New York. That's fine. All right. Not bad. I think I have figured out the task for the next rewrite. I think all this is, boom, get rid of that. This. I definitely have to go through the end of the outline and figure out what this is all. This is all not right yet. I'll just make it pink so I know it's to be figured out. Okay, good. Well, look at that. So I believe, I have got my outline in good shape to next week do some of the rewrite to actually get to it. Let me just check my calendar and see. See, I think, yeah, I may not be here Monday. I may be, though. You know, I likely am. I'm gonna say I'm gonna be here Monday because I have a appointment, but it's at 12:30, and unless it goes insanely long, I'm going to be there. All right. So you know what? I think I'm gonna wind it down. You got any questions? Because I got a few minutes here. I'd be happy to answer a couple questions. But otherwise, I'm going to wind down because I think we hit like a natural stopping place. We hit a place at which I feel like I've got a sense of what it is that I need to change. When I actually get into the writing of it, I'm going to be like, I haven't figured out this and that and that. But there's some things you can't figure out in a plan. You actually have to get into the dirt with the words and start piling them up and see where you land. See what holds up and what is unexpectedly different. And you write. You have to write. In order to solve writing problems, you have to write. That's my good advice for the day. All right. So I think, I'm trying to give you guys a little more time in case there's a question. But ask me anything. Almost anything. You know, there's some things I will not answer, but ask me almost anything is my favorite phrase. Okay. So y'all have your... When did this series writing officially begin? And is this typical pace for you? The answer is it officially began probably about a year ago. You can check whenever the date is. Hang on. I'll answer that with my typical aplomb. All right, let me see. I'm looking on my on my channel right now. 1 year ago. And there's, 2,500 views of the first session, Screenwriting Step-by-Step, Session 1. So the answer is about a year ago. It was about this time last year. It was last summer. I started this project, and I did not think it was going to go all year. And it looks like it's going to go through this summer, too. So that's the answer to that. Is this typical pace for you? No. It is typical for me to spend a long time on a project, but generally what happens is I'll work on a project for a while, like a month or so, and then if it's not for pay, I tend to either hit a problem with it that I can't solve, or I get distracted by, ideally by work with money involved, or by something that I think is more likely to make me money. Anyway, so I often set projects aside and then come back to them. So therefore, very often my pace is glacial in the grand sense. As the pace of daily writing, this is actually not bad. The thing is, I'm only doing an hour a day tops, plus, all the chatter here. So ideally, especially once I started to make a living as a writer and could actually spend all day, I would spend 4 or 5 hours doing this. So the pace would be 4 or 5 times as fast. Okay. A lot of times I watch some series movies, some scene gets me on a strange sour taste. That much I actually... you dislike it that you write a scene variation. That's really interesting. Question. Do you do that? Is it what is the name of this crazy vice? The same fandom. Essentially that is a form of fan fiction. It's sort of like a fan repair fiction. I don't usually. I often think of how I would fix. I'll watch something. I'll be like, guys, that scene should have been cut, or that scene shouldn't have been about the thing it should be. And I'll think about how I would have done it. I never actually write it because I got my own writing to write, and it will not do me much good to write somebody else's script. I have enough of my own to write. However, if you are trying to learn writing and you want to, as an exercise, just like, if somebody was trying to learn music and they wanted to do an exercise where they write music in the style of someone else, like Bach or Jerry Lee Lewis, whatever style it is that you're trying to understand, whatever themes you are trying to work with, if they are in somebody else's work and it would help you to mess with it in their way, that's not a bad exercise. I just would remind you that the priority always has to be do your own work first. Do a project that you own, that you can see through to the end. Ideally one that's interesting to you. That has always got to be your first priority. When you are saying, what am I going to do today? The first thing you got to say is, no matter what else I do, I've got to get this thing done. I've got to get one little step on my project done. Then you can do research, then you can write another thing, then you can go to the mall. Whatever it is, always write first, or make sure you do your writing as the highest priority, and then everything else. Yes, it seems like it's not necessary to spend hours on the outline and not to go to the writing. Yes, that is absolutely true. Not just hours, days. It is often necessary to spend. I believe that working on the outline often takes longer than writing a script. Although with rewrites, that's probably not true. But the hardest part about writing a script is honestly the outline. And you should expect it to take long, like half or 2/3 of the time you're planning to spend writing. If you think, I'm going to write this in 4 months, 2 of those months are probably going to be on the outline, in my experience. The only channel where Bach can reach Jerry Lewis successfully. Thank you. That is high praise indeed. Okay, you two, this is Kitschy. You two, Ellen. Everybody have a great time. I am taking off for the weekend, and I will see you most likely Monday. I really think I'll make it. So until then, go write something.